Hello and welcome to Admit One, your TV and movie podcast right here on Rabbit Hole Media. I am one of your hosts, Jacques Cousteau. That's not true.
That'd be fucking... That's a poll.
Yeah. I was always called Jacques Cousteau for some reason.
I've never called you Jacques Cousteau.
No, you didn't. But I say for some reason, it's because my name is Jack and there was much scuba diving going on around me in my life.
But you're also a big fan of custard. It sounds a little bit like Cousteau. I feel like Jack Custard is the anglicised way of saying that name.
Custard is a cool surname.
Custard's fucking great, to be fair.
Oh my God,
if there was some custard here right now, I'd be in a drastically better mood.
I agree. I will happily just eat custard.
Yeah, I'll eat custard. Just eat custard, fine, yeah.
One thing I will not stand for is custard skin.
Fair. Yeah.
I will not stand for it. If it never used to be alive, it shouldn't have skin.
Yeah, I agree. No, I'm fine with that.
If you're like nature's cling film is kind of building up. It's the same with like rice pudding as well. If you get that,
rice pudding's a bit grim anyway.
I like rice pudding, but if you get to where it's got this skin on it, then it's just nasty.
Oh, I get that. Hot custard or cold custard?
Both.
Yeah, I'll take
Equally
both.
acceptable.
Yeah. What about flavoured custard? Like you get chocolate custard and
pass.
Is that like a complete pass, or just wouldn't be your pick if you were given the choice? Because if someone gave me like a bowl of like butterscotch custard, I'd still be pretty fucking thrilled with it.
No, because I like the flavour of custard.
Right, fair
And
enough.
I will take
That's a
vanilla
fair
custard.
argument.
Vanilla custard and white custard is...
Is that not just custard? I feel like custard is just vanilla flavour.
Yeah, but like proper like white custard.
Oh, you mean like proper custard, as opposed to like bird's custard you can get in a...
Chocolate custard is tasty, but I don't... is it custard?
Yeah.
What is custard? What is the definition of custard?
Let's find it out here on Rabbit Hole Media.
Surely that's just wet chocolate at that point.
No.
Like, what's the
What are you
difference
talking about?
between chocolate sauce and chocolate custard?
Sauce is a syrup. Custard is a variety of culinary preparations based on sweetened milk, cheese, or cream cooked with egg or egg yolk to thicken it.
Imagine being vegan
So
and not
what
being
you're
able to
making-
have custard.
When you got flavoured custard, it's your custard, and then
you just flavour it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're adding shit to it. It's still not custard.
Yeah. Custard is fucking banging. That's all I have to say. Should we do a custard podcast?
The next goes rogue that we just eat custard.
Custard.
Yeah, I'm alright with that. One of my favourite custard memories. I have a custard memory.
One of my favourite custard memories. Not a memory I have that revolves around custard. Like, you've got these categorised.
Was when we were in Disneyland Paris once. So it's like, this is how like good this memory is. I've prioritised the custard over the Disneyland, and I'm back there again in 2 weeks. One of the buffets there.
They teased me about inviting me and then just booked it without me. I feel that is worse than... I think that is... I'm trying to think, what's the term? What am I... Cruel and unusual punishment.
I'm not punishing you.
Well, it's just being cruel and unusual.
Yeah, I'm just being cruel. Not
Outrageous.
punishment. But one of the restaurants there had a buffet. Quite a few of them buffets. And when we were going up and down the buffet, we noticed the dessert part of the buffet just had a giant pot of chocolate custard. So you're just going to get chocolate custard. But next to that was then also a pot of like M&Ms. So Kristian and I, for our dessert, just got a big bowl of chocolate custard with M&Ms in it.
That sounds banging.
And we came back to our table gleeful.
Do you know
Literally on the table next to us was a family with 2 young kids eating their mains. And the 2 kids looked over and saw our custard and M&M bowls, and we're looking at their parents, and the next thing we know, they came back with like grins on their face with their custard M&M bowls, and the parents just looking at us with dirty looks like we've encouraged our children to do, whereas we're like, this is the best thing that's going to happen to them on this holiday.
Yeah, that's pretty great. What I have done on occasion, I will grant, is instead of having like an apple crumble or any form of crumble, I just get the crumble
Crumbled and custard. Oh, now that sounds like that's great.
I don't even need to bother with the apples.
I don't care for cooked apples.
So apple crumble, I will kill my entire family for a good apple crumble.
I literally learned this last night because I haven't tried an apple crumble or anything like that in years because my historical memory is I don't like cooked apples. And
could be a Pringle scenario.
This is my thinking. So I was at the in-laws for dinner last night, and Camilla's mum had tried to buy me a salted caramel cheesecake, didn't read the box, and bought a salted caramel apple crumble.
No, pass. What are you doing? No, there's some things that you just don't fucking overcomplicate, and also surely you can see it.
Don't get me started on that. But I was like, yeah, she's bought it, she's cooked it. Like I'll try it. I can't remember the last time I've had one. Maybe I like it now. Maybe it's a sour cream Pringles scenario. No, do not like cooked apple.
Is it the cooked apple, or is it the fact that they've been bastardized?
No, it was definitely
caramel?
the cooked apple. I wasn't getting on with the cooked apple. Definitely
fair. Because that sounds like at most you add cinnamon.
Because the salted caramel bit was actually quite nice, and the crumbly bit was nice.
If you start, you don't fuck around with an apple crumble. Don't fuck around. You can have cinnamon. That's it. Maybe if you want to be fancy, you can have like an apple and blackberry crumble.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, don't fuck around with it. Just it's an apple crumble. Just let that do the work, and then add custard or ice cream.
I get it. I get your argument.
Sorry, let me correct myself. I said or ice cream.
And ice cream.
And ice cream is the correct answer. You have custard and then dollop of ice cream on top. And then if you're feeling particularly fucking if you want to look like me, you have cream as well. Cream, custard, ice cream. And
then some whipped cream.
Maybe even some skush. Thank you.
Oh yeah, all right, fine.
It's called skush, and I love the particularly Scottishness of the
skush.
It's skush.
Yeah.
And do you know why? Skush.
Yeah, I realised it just before you started to do it. I was like, it's the sound it makes, isn't it? Yeah.
Skush.
Fucking hell. Anyway, enough about custard.
But I always felt like the weirdo when I was like, have you got any skush? And they looked at me as if I just killed their cat.
There was that time you killed my cat. That was a bad day.
The cat is fine. FBI agent sitting in the courtyard.
Oh, an extra viewer.
Unfortunately not. Evening, Rich. How are we? Americans find it very funny we call squirty cream because apparently that's not what it's called. It's cream that you squirt.
Well, it's whipped cream that's in a can.
Skush. Well, maybe if you... Yeah, because you've written skush.
Yeah, I feel like it's Scoosh. S-C-O-O-S-H.
I've never written it down.
That's how I feel like it is.
I feel like just because and the Scottish people hate everyone, especially the English. There's a Q in there somewhere.
Probably, yeah.
Skush.
My chair's doing that.
S-Q-U. Squish. 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 Anyway, we're here to talk about that. Just fix it. Don't do this dramatic fall.
I don't... But the pin's in. I just pulled the pin out then.
The chair is old and fucked.
I know, like me.
Is what it is. Yes, like all of us. We're here to talk about someone's mum. I couldn't pick a person because it would feel too targeted if I picked. But that, all of your mums, there we go. No longer targeted. But Endure and Survive, episode 5 of The Last of Us, HBO. What are your general roundabout thoughts, Kristian?
I mostly thought it was real fucking good, to be honest. I think there are a couple of issues that it had which were weird because there were issues that only existed because of the mistakes they made in the previous episode. For the most part, I feel like most of the things that were a problem with this only existed because of the way they fucked up the previous episode. Mm-hmm. If they hadn't fucked up the previous episode, they wouldn't have been forced into making... Mm-hmm. And it was almost like they were correcting the mistakes. Yeah. It was really weird. I feel I'm really mixed on some of those things. But mostly, and pretty much anything then that was Joel and Ellie's parts in this, the storyline, I think was really fucking good. I think they even managed to kind of... God, fucking chair. I think they even managed to do what we were concerned about, like how are they going to make Sam and Henry's story work now that they've changed these things, and I think they managed to still do that and make the main point of that come across with what that means for Joel and Ellie.
On that particular part, but finish off your roundabout thoughts. We'll get to it.
That was pretty much it. To be fair, I think that main point of what that story, what that part of the journey means for Joel and Ellie, I think was hammered home really well, given that they had to take what is essentially primarily gameplay segments and turn them into a TV show. And I think they did it really, really well. I think there's some really good standout moments in this. And actually, despite the fact there are a few missteps that I think are forced missteps because of the previous episode, I actually think it's been my favourite episode so far. I was really on edge through most of it, and I think they did a really good job.
Definitely not my favourite episode. I think the first 15 minutes or whatever, just chop it off. None of it's needed.
So you mean the stuff where they're sort of showing you Sam and Henry?
The last 10 days. This is what I've been saying. It's for all the same reasons that I've said every fucking episode. If it's got nothing to do with Joel and Ellie, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. No, I agree.
This story, I don't care why Sam and Henry are in this position. I don't care why Corporal fuckhead is after them. I don't care. Especially with her, because it's you're a new character that you've added.
I can't fix it. I don't...
It's a new character you've added that we know for a fact is going to die. So what is the point? You're wasting our time. And this show's biggest problem is there is not enough Joel and Ellie. Yeah. And we're getting to a point now where their relationship needs to be really strong and really cemented, and they haven't earned it. They haven't earned it at all, and I think that's going to become more and more, and it is, for me, becoming more and more of a problem as the show goes along. I think when I say I agree and disagree, I think they got to where they wanted to go with Sam and Henry. I don't necessarily buy the way it got there.
Based on what?
I think Joel would not have let that go. From the version of Joel that we have seen in this show, he would not have let the fact that he pointed a gun at Ellie and himself go. Even if he did find out that they were reloaded. I don't think...
See, I think there's a point where he would have done what I questioned was why he was immediately then sitting there sharing food with them. That was the bit where I was like, I don't buy that. I think later on in their journey, I buy he would have let it go.
They got there, but I don't buy how they got there.
By the way, I'm just going to time code this as spoilery now.
I don't buy any of that. I think before they would have got there, in this version that they'd set up, he would have killed him. At the very least, he would have killed Henry. Don't know whether he necessarily would have killed Sam.
I feel like what they were going for was simply that because Sam was there, he wasn't going to do it.
Yeah, but I don't buy that either. I don't think he would give a shit that the kid was there. He just wouldn't kill the kid.
Oh, I don't know, because I would say in this version of Joel, in every instance where or in nearly every instance where he's had to kill someone, he's kind of... Oh, no, actually, no, he hasn't by this point. Hasn't. No, I was going to say by this point in the show, he hasn't. He's just killed them. Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. Hasn't really given anyone any form of chance or opportunity, so I don't necessarily buy that.
Because the end of this episode he did. The end of this episode, he gives someone an opportunity to not be killed. But it's not before that.
But and yeah, I think all of it... there's just so much... We don't... Yeah. My biggest problem is that, there's not enough Joel and Ellie, and it's going to get worse and worse as time goes on, and I feel like what they could have done instead of doing all of that fucking bollocks at the beginning of this episode to catch up to where the last episode ended, which I fucking hate it when shows do that anyway, is they could have given that extra 15-20 minutes for Sam, Henry, Joel and Ellie development.
Yes, no, I agree with that.
And
I do agree with that.
You could that way the ending of the episode could have had a bigger impact. Because I don't know what it was. I was kind of disappointed that it didn't just cut. Because in the game, it is Henry shoots himself, and then it's immediately months later. There is no anything afterwards, and there's no sense of time scale in this show either.
How do you mean?
How long has it been? The game takes place over a year. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So for them, it should have been 6-7 months by now. Mm-hmm. Has it been? No fucking clue.
It arguably could have been a week.
Yeah, it could have been 3 days. Like, we've only seen them stop twice. And then logistics a couple more days. Yeah, so
yeah, I think we know it's
4 or 5 days.
It's going to have to be a few days because of how far they've gone to get to Kansas.
Like the additional, but like, is there going to be the time jump? Because pretty much all of what's left takes place in winter. Well, there's a big chunk.
Autumn. There's a fall bit and then winter.
Yeah, and there's all the important bits left, and then winter, and then it goes back round to spring again.
Yeah. The spring section is only a very small section of the game.
It's the entire finale.
Which is only about an hour long. In the grand scheme of things, it's actually a small section.
Yeah, I know, but we're looking at the episodes, it's going to be the entire last episode.
Yeah, but I mean, like, in comparison, in the grand scheme of things, that's 1 hour of 8.5 pre-existing hours.
Well, yes.
So,
I know.
it's still...
As I said, the biggest portion of what's left is winter. Especially because they've got my issue and concern, not my issue, my concern from the very beginning was always time. And I feel like as we're over halfway into this show now, it's even stronger than ever, my concern. Because they've got so much to do with Joel and Ellie's relationship. And they keep ignoring them. For big chunks of every episode, they just ignore the two pivotal points. The world is not important in The Last of Us.
They didn't really do any of the world stuff in this.
No, I know, but I mean, like, by the world, I just mean the other characters that are in it, and this, that, and the other. But so it doesn't matter. And really, as I've said as well, Bill and Frank's episode is unnecessary as well. But it was just really good TV.
Yeah, you let that one go because it was really good.
Really good TV. But it's the fact that I actually begrudge it with every episode that we get less and less of Joel and Ellie. I was like, well, that's another hour of TV where we didn't get Joel and Ellie. And it's just like, this entire fucking story is about Joel and Ellie and the relationships people have with Joel and Ellie. What Sam and Henry are up to outside of the sphere of Joel and Ellie is fucking irrelevant. It doesn't matter, and I don't care.
No, that's fair enough. My only thing for me is that I agree. I don't want to see the extra time, and I think said some of that extra time that we had away from Joel and Ellie this week was forced because they had set up things last week, so then they were kind of forced to have to round them out a little bit. Yep. I did like that you didn't have, they didn't spend much time with Kathleen. We had a scene with her, which I don't think needed to be there at all. I think that could have gone. The one of her in her old bedroom.
Yeah, gone.
That could have gone.
Don't care.
What is it about Michael?
Yeah, but he's dead, clearly, so he's not relevant. So
I actually think the only scene you did need with her, bearing in mind that she existed now, like, obviously, if they hadn't set her up in the last episode, you could have got away with it at all. But I think just having her in that final showdown with all the clickers and the Horde, I think just having her in that section alone would have been all you need for that character.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
I am glad that she got fucked up. Mm-hmm. That was very satisfying.
But that, at the end of the day, that then makes all of this a complete waste of time.
Mm. No, I agree, but
because it had nothing to do with Joel and Ellie.
But that's more of a problem from last week.
Yeah,
by this week I think actually by this week they minimised it. They only actually had two moments I can think with her really.
3, because they had the whole thing at the beginning as well with the. You'll get a trial.
Oh,
Are we
yeah,
really
yeah,
going to
yeah,
give
yeah,
them
yeah,
trials?
forgot about that
You
bit.
think this is my 7th priority?
I blanked that out.
This is another reason why I don't fucking buy that they would follow her. It's because they disagree with her all the time. In the show!
Well, as I was saying, I agree. I think the beginning, I think you could have got rid of, because I don't think you need... Although I quite liked seeing the other's perspective of Henry watching Joel.
But then just
fight.
do that.
Yeah, but even then also I don't think they needed to do anything.
No.
I don't think they added anything. As we said, the way it works in the game, and emphasis on works in the game, is you just bump into them. And then they become reliant on each other based on, hey, look, we've bumped into each other and we're stuck with each other, but we can help each other. And they learn quickly they can help each other. This is seemingly Henry tracks him down. Seemingly is the impression I got. Mm-hmm. I followed you in here. I knew you were coming up here because I want your help, which I found odd and I don't think needed anything. However, those negatives aside, and they are the only missteps I think they took.
I think in general, once you get into they're sticking to the general.
I think once
line
the four of them together, everything they did with the four of them together was really good. I think Ellie and Sam together was great. I actually wasn't bothered in the slight. This sounds stupid, but you know what I mean. I wasn't bothered in the slightest that they had changed Sam's character to be death.
No, it didn't.
Because it didn't take away for any of those important moments the two characters needed to have with each other.
No, not really. But at the same time, it did seem like a change for change's sake.
Yeah, I think it was absolutely a change for change's sake.
Yeah,
I think that's all it was.
And they're all going, it was so important. But why? No, like I've heard Troy Baker, Neil Druckmann, and Craig Mazin talk about how important this change was for the character. No, it wasn't Craig Mazin. Whatever. I've heard several people, Troy Baker and Neil Druckmann, talk about how important that change was for the character. I'm like, why? You can't tell anyone why it was important, other than a tick box.
Yeah, representation.
Yeah.
For the character, it's not relevant.
It's utterly irrelevant, and there's some weird bits we'll get to. But as you said, it doesn't take anything away. So
yeah, and I think
why is it?
I'm not bothered by any of it because I think they made everything work really well, and all the moments of those characters work really well. You know, they changed Henry a little bit as well, but I think the way it changed it still worked and got them to the same place. And that's the crucial thing here for me, is that I do believe. Like, I know you're saying you're concerned about the amount of time we're having Joel and Ellie and their relationship develop, but I'm watching it and I am seeing their relationship develop, and I do think their relationship is at the point it should be by this point in the story.
Yeah, that's not what I mean though, but it's kind of getting to a point because there's so much missing time. Like it just jumps from scene to scene and episode to episode. They're just closer now for no reason.
But I don't think it is no reason. I think you're seeing it. I think you see the examples of the reason every time. Yeah. You see at the beginning of the last episode, part of that growth is that she jumps in and protects him, and then he has a discussion with her about that and how that's his fault, and apologizes to her and looks after her and shows her the gun. And and then by the end of that episode, you've got them bonding over the jokes. I think you are seeing it grow.
We had it in one episode. I agree with last episode. We've had it in one.
But I think you had it in. You didn't have it in Bill and Frank's. I admit, because they weren't there.
And he had. What I don't actually remember. What was there in episode 2?
Episode 2 was the clickers. So it's you're seeing the clear thing of her starting to trust Joel because Joel's fighting for her and protecting her and looking after her in those combat scenarios, and she can trust him there. And by the end of that episode, when they lose Tess, and the beginning of episode 3, what you're seeing there is her standing up for herself with Joel, saying, hey, you can't blame me for losing Tess. I didn't make you do this. You chose to do this. And the beginning of that, they're bonding, talking to each other about the history of everything. I think you are seeing those moments. You're not getting as much as you do in the game, but I don't think that's physically possible.
No, it's obviously not physically possible. There's so much of it. It just feels, I don't know. It's just weird. I don't think it works because it comes down to time. They are not spending enough time with the two.
No, I agree. I don't think they're spending enough time with them because I'd rather. And if anything, as well, it comes down to I still like those characters and I like those actors' performances of those characters, so I want to see as much of that as I can. And you know, I didn't like Kathleen as a character, so I didn't want to watch her. So all of that stuff I wasn't interested in. I'd rather be spending that time with Joel and Ellie. I do agree with that, but I don't think that what we're missing from Joel and Ellie's, I think as a standalone piece, forgetting what we know of this game story, I think as a standalone piece, and for those that are uninitiated and haven't played the game, I don't think they're having this. I don't think any of those people are having this problem. Yeah, when I spoke to Camilla's parents last night, they're not in any way saying, "Oh, I don't buy their relationship." As a matter of fact, they were telling me about how much they love their relationship and can see that brewing and whatnot. So, from the outside perspective, I'm definitely seeing examples of people that don't know the game that are getting the same. Essentially the same experience.
I do know that.
No, of course.
So I'm viewing it from that lens. And
no, yeah, I know. All I mean is though, like that's a hard line to ride. Like finding that balance between the two for the producers, that's a very hard thing to balance. But I think ultimately, they are getting us to the same place. And although it would be great to see more of be great to see more time spent with those characters. I wholeheartedly agree because I love those characters. I do think they've delayed.
Exactly what we've just said.
There will be a delay.
I know.
I understand. I do think they are selling it and doing the right job and getting it to the right place. But I do also agree with you in the sense I want to see more of it at the
It's
same
also
time.
just because what they're replacing it with is not very. I don't.
Yeah, no,
care.
I agree. Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Like I don't think it's good. It's not even just that. Oh, it's not this. Therefore, I don't. I don't think it's good.
Yeah, no, I agree. I totally agree with that.
So it's being really dragged down, and I'm kind of there, like on all these places that have given us like the highest rated TV show since Breaking Bad. Not fucking how, because all the good stuff is like 50-50 weighed up with like not even just not great, like not good.
There was a lot less of it in this episode. This episode was mainly.
It was, yeah, but that's like the.
No, I know last episode wasn't, and the third episode wasn't.
Yeah, that's
I know
what
that.
I'm
So the last 2 episodes, that hasn't been the case. I agree there.
And then yeah, so the last. There's only been 5 episodes.
Yeah.
And at least 2 of them have been majoritarily taken over by someone else.
Yeah.
The first episode was majoritarily taken over by before the infection even happened. And then the second episode is the only real episode we've had of just that relationship.
Yeah.
No side stuff. That's out of 5 episodes, 1 full episode.
Yeah.
That's kind of like, from where I'm sitting at, that's nonsense. That's utter fucking nonsense. For a game that is about 2 characters. It's about 2 people. And you've adapted it into a TV show that should have been a fucking slam dunk, easy as piss, because you've only got to focus on 2 characters. And you spent 90% of your time focusing on other stuff.
The only thing I don't agree with there is that one of the biggest compliments even I've heard you have from the game is all of the world building stuff you learn and all the world lore. I think if the show was to omit that completely, you then go, well, it feels bland and the environment they're in feels bland, and that, like, one of the many big pluses of the game is its environmental storytelling and all of that. And I think you need to have that still within the show, but you have to do that differently. You have to do that in a different way, because it's not a game. You can't do that from them picking up. If that was, they stopped and went, hang on a second, Eddie, and just read a journal entry aloud, obviously that wouldn't work.
Obviously, but I don't necessarily think you do need it. That's what I'm like.
No, I firmly think you do need it, and I think a lot of what they were doing has worked. I do agree that this militia group didn't, and I think my issue there is I don't buy her as a leader of this militia group.
Oh, so we don't need to know.
And I don't need to know, but I'm quite happy with this group being a faceless bunch of enemies that are just there to be killed. Mm-hmm. I'm more than happy with that being the case. I was happy with that being the case in the game, and I think an example of where this episode did do it well is we got a little bit of Ish.
Yeah.
Not very much, but enough. And enough.
That's what I'm saying. You can do it in a way that isn't an hour and a half.
No, I agree with that.
Like,
totally agree with that.
You can. It was a kid's drawing on the wall that just said Ish on it.
But and obviously then it's set up in the environment. It's still environmental storytelling. It's set up in the environment there of where they are and the props you're seeing.
I'm saying we don't need to piss off and focus on other characters for multiple episodes at a time. It's just like this story, like, say what you will about environmental storytelling. I've said it multiple times across multiple weeks. The story is about 2 people.
Yeah, no, it is. Yeah, the story is about Joel and Ellie.
The world of what surrounds Joel and Ellie, other than the fact that it makes clickers and these motherfuckers, it doesn't matter. Honest to God, does not matter. It doesn't matter how the world got like this, why, the road to the whatever happened in the last 20 years. Nothing really matters. It is these 2 people, and like, when they come across new people, like, I don't need. I'm not. Are we going to get like an episode of fucking David backstory?
Oh, probably. Yeah, I'm fully expecting there to be a bunch of shit around.
I don't need
with more
that.
characters in
these
Jackson.
These fucking characters have like. The reason they're so creepy and like memorable is because they just show up through happenstance. That is the whole point. We don't need this fucking. I'm just getting really irate. This is like anything but The Last of Us. Anything but The Last of Us. You could fuck up anything. Like, I love Halo. Don't give a shit that they completely butchered that TV show. I've watched 2 episodes and I will never watch any more of it because it is god awful. But anything but the fucking Last of Us. And all I'm thinking of how are they going to destroy part 2?
Yeah, that's the scary. That one though does have a lot more of focusing on other characters and the different parts of the world.
So which makes me so they've got more characters to focus on, but they've also got more characters that they could put more focus on than is needed, and like
because there's also just substantially a lot more characters in part 2.
Yes.
Because it's so many years later. Negatives aside, and think like I know you've got some positives as well. So let's talk about the good bits of this, because I do think there are some fucking great moments in this episode. Some really good stuff.
Before we get into positives, I will say one downside of not just Sam being deaf characters in general. Why have we just come to accept that great TV now means watching people write things down? I've been dealing with it with The Last of Us, with The Walking Dead. They started doing it in Eternals. That was the same actress as The Walking Dead. And I'm not saying, like, deaf people shouldn't be able to be actors. Of course I'm not saying that. And I don't mind watching people sign and all this, that, and it. But watch it, like...
No, I really like the innocence of that, because he was a kid as well, and it was a kid's toy.
I'm not specifically criticising The Last of Us here.
No, I know, but like
everything. I'm just like, it's so annoying, especially when they do the weird mumble thing as they're writing it down. Can you tell me? Do you know anything about the chamber?
I knew he was going to do that. Did you watch Chamber of Secrets yesterday?
Yes, I did. And I was just like, shut the fuck up. Stop. And it was, oh God, it really winds me up. It really fucking winds me up. Just...
Anyway.
Great TV!
The good moments of this, because I do think there are some really good moments of this, and I do like the four of them together, as I say. I think that was really, really good. And I like the whole thing of like Sam being like, hey, I've got a plan. Oh, sorry, Henry being like, I've got a plan. And Joel just being like, what the fuck are you talking about? What are you, this is not, and the whole thing, I liked the whole setup they did here. I like this idea of the Fedra drew the infected underground. That's why there's no infected, because the Fedra drew them underground. And they're all under there. And now we're going to go underground. Like, what are you talking about? Why are we now going to go underground? That's when we know the infected are. I was like, no, I know where this one is. I know they're not in this tunnel. And I loved as he's coming through, like, Henry just really, see, told you, I have a good plan. I really liked all of that. And then just kind of like bickering, but slowly earning to trust, and having all that stuff with Ish, and having all of the moments with Ellie and Sam just being able to bond as kids, and Ellie being a character for Sam to look up to, which is what happens in the game in a way. There are moments where they're just kids together and they're making each other laugh. And Henry says there's a bit in the show, and it happens in the game as well, where Sam's laughing with Ellie and he's like, I haven't heard that sound in a long time, and all that kind of stuff. And the game does it by having this moment where Sam goes to pick up a toy in a shop, and Henry stops him and says, what are you doing? I will get to the Ish thing in a second, Hannah. He picks up his toy. Henry said, what are you doing? We only take what we need. Or as if there's still this some kind of moral compass here. We don't need to steal things. We don't need to steal things. We're only going to take what we need to take to survive.
At that point, as a 14-year-old, because he's blatantly meant to be Ellie's age in the game.
Yes.
You just turn around and go, shut the fuck up. What are you talking about?
What the game does is he puts it down, and then Ellie goes over, picks up, and later on gives it to him. And that's kind of like part of their bonding and stuff like that, saying that I get it. Here's I've taken it for you. Now it's not you that's taken it. He can't be angry at you. All this kind of stuff. And they do that in slightly different ways. They do that with them playing football together and them chatting together and stuff like that. You can get
the football thing in the game as well.
Yeah, there is a point with that. But it works really nicely. I think that's all great. So when we get to the big moment with them at the end of the episode, I think that is all earned really well between those two characters, and why Sam would be like, you're the one I'm going to talk to and confide to about this, because I'm relating to you better at this point. And I think that was all really, really nice. And I was a really big fan of that they kept the sniper sequence.
Not that Joel shot anyone. He shot a few infected. But when the whole army was standing there and he thought Ellie was in deep shit, he just sat there.
I mean, what's he going to do? Shoot one of those people and then the rest of the army shoot.
But even when shit started kicking off, he just shouted. It was just sitting there for a while. No, it wasn't until Ellie was in direct danger that he started shooting. It's like, you would start shooting.
No, I don't know if you would. That army was huge. If he fired a
I
shot...
don't mean at them. I said when the horde starts coming.
Oh, I see.
When shit starts kicking off. No, you wouldn't shoot them. Because, as
Sorry.
you say, you would shoot them.
And then
they
they'd
would
just immediately shoot.
Yeah. But when like the horde comes out, it takes forever for him to start shooting. I was just like...
There's probably an element of like, oh, fuck, that's a lot.
Well, yeah,
But I thought that was fun. I liked the whole...
I like the fact that they kept it in. I don't know why there was an old guy up there. That was really weird.
But I like that as well because, like, I think, you know, in the game that's an action sequence and a longer sequence of you got to then sneak around and then there's some other guys that come out and whatnot.
You can't make it as long as it
yeah,
is
they
in
got
the
to
game.
change that differently. And I really like the line of just being like, right, here's what's going to happen. You're going to wait here. If you're here, he can't shoot you. I'm going to go get him, and then you can go. And then he's like, no, you'll die. He's like, it's dark and he can't shoot for shit. I'm not going to die.
No, I did like that.
I really like
bullets
that.
for the sniper rifle. Absolutely, absolutely. No, I did like when they got up there. He was just like, please don't.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was just like, bang, you're done now. But they don't show it. There's a lot of cutaway.
Mm-hmm.
For a show that's this brutal, there's a lot of cutaway on gunshots, and it's just like, why?
But I liked, again, I really liked that whole, look, hey, all you have to do is put the gun down and don't do anything for an hour. It's literally all you got to do. Let us go. We don't have any issues with you. It's all you've got to do. Please don't do it. And I liked that.
Yeah,
loads.
I really
and I
like
liked that
that
then
as
that
well.
still then turned around to him picking up the sniper and then he's out shooting. Because again, that's the game mechanic. Is then you've got the sniper and you're watching the infected in the army chasing after them and having to protect them. But I genuinely thought the sequence where then the horde come up and the bloater comes up and everything, I thought that whole sequence was really fucking good. And there was some great action there. There was some fucking scary shit. The fucking child clicker,
Yep. Nope.
pass. Like, but fucking the way she like twisted through the car and stuff like that. But you know what I like about that sequence is when that kicks off, Ellie's like, oh fuck, 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 all the way through, oh fuck, until she realizes that Sam's in trouble and that she can help. And then she looks up at Joel and is like, it's almost like a non-verbal communication of like, you got my back? Because I need to go and do this. And you know I do. And there is, I think you're seeing there, they've got each other's backs. And Joel's like, all right, I trust her. She needs to do this. I'm watching her. I've got her back. And I'm watching her and she's doing what she needs to do. And she just runs in and she does what she needs to do, which is what Ellie does in the game. I think it's the first time we're seeing Ellie. We had spoken before about her thing with violence and her representation of her connection with violence in the show and how that's going to work. But I think at this point we got what I think is fundamentally Ellie of, I do what I need to do. And she runs in and she just stabs a couple of clickers, pulls them off, and she's just helping and doing exactly what she needs to do to get them out of there. I think it's really, really good. I think that whole sequence is really good. I think the thing with the bloater was really cool as well, the way they used
The fact
it.
that it's real is haunting.
Yes. Yes. But all of that thing, I love that he does his finisher and just rips Perry's head off, which is pretty much what the bloaters do in the game if they get you.
I don't know why it was he did a fucking pro wrestler move. That was weird. But the head rip off, yeah, that was great. But
It's all really cool. I think all of that whole section was really tense and just really good. I think it was good action, good cinematography, good lighting. Yeah, Rich said the night and the fire and stuff, it just looked great. I know from listening to the podcast that was pretty much all done real stunts.
yeah, they
as well.
did they built like a
They built the thing.
cul-de-sac, didn't they?
Yeah,
And,
they built the thing. The vast majority of the infected are actual people in makeup with only a few.
Small issue. Why did Ellie stab the clickers in the neck rather than the head? I agree.
If you get the jugular area,
This show has been a little bit inconsistent with what will kill a clicker. Because they survived multiple fucking bullets in episode 2. But they one small knife to the neck and they're down.
Were they all clickers? I don't really remember. Some of them might have just been runners.
Well, the one she stabbed in the
The
neck
one she
were
stabbed in
clickers.
the neck were clickers, yeah.
I was shouting at the TV for them continuing to hide behind the car rather than run. Can we point... Kathleen's a fucking moron, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
she's an
Clinical
idiot.
moron. She was like, I managed to overthrow... did you see that that actress spoiled this episode before it aired? Because people... From last week, people were basically just talking shit about her character. And she was like, well, my character single-handedly and organised the... I hate people when people say single-handedly organised. Because, I mean, so basically you did nothing.
Yes. You delegated.
Yeah. And organise the overthrow of Fedra.
Mm-hmm.
So, but you also threw it out the way because you were pissed off at some dude and his baby brother to the point where you got everyone that you know killed. Anyway.
Rich is saying they wanted to get the blow to hold him over his head and tear him in half, but the CGI would have been a nightmare, so they went the other cannon move and tore his head in half. So what they were saying on the podcast is they had put some test CG shots together of the blow ripping up Perry and just ripping him half at the waist. But as they were doing it, basically, because humans don't rip apart at the waist, it just looked stupid. So they just like, this doesn't look real, so they just opted out of it.
You've seen it multiple times and it looks fine. Why would they not rip apart at the waist?
That's just what I was reading.
No, I know, but why would they not rip apart at the waist? If you ripped them at the waist, I'm sure they would rip apart at the waist.
I don't think they would. I think that's the weakest point here. But whatever the bits you were grabbed onto, like, because you'd be holding a limb of some form, surely, so the limbs would come off.
That's true. That's fair.
Because they're the weaker points.
No, it depends how you did it.
But it does depend how you're doing it. Yeah.
Depends how you did it. But it's definitely something we've seen before, and it looks fine. That implies to me you just got the wrong
They
person.
just didn't do a very good job with the...
And I'm not a complaint. The whole head thing looked great too.
You need a lightsaber to sever them in two.
Yeah, well, yeah, or just a sword. Actually, we know a sword wouldn't do that either.
Sectum Sempra.
Fuck, did you call me?
It's a Harry Potter thing. Thought you would know it by now.
I'm only in Chamber of Secrets. Oh, is it what's written on?
No, it's not to one of the later ones, to be fair.
Yeah, so go fuck you.
But yeah, I liked all that stuff. I thought it was already good. I liked that whole sequence, and I knew where it was going, so I was really on tense of where I was, because I was just like, how are they going to handle the ending of Sam and Henry's thing? How are they going to do it? And I really liked the way they dealt with the end of Sam and Henry's story.
Yeah, one thing. There's only one small thing I didn't like about that whole sequence in seemingly a motel, whatever it was. It's the whole "my blood is medicine."
Oh no, I think it was really good. I think that's showing.
I don't know why. I just why are we showing her the bite in this version?
So I think the answer to that question is because it's a younger Sam. So the younger Sam wouldn't think to keep that hidden in the same way, and he would want to tell someone about it. Because a younger child would do, I think is what we're going for there. And I buy that younger Sam would go, I've been bitten. I get that. I do think, again, though, you also could have got away with not doing it. Because, again, for the uninitiated, in the game, you don't know he's been... well, at least Ellie doesn't know. We see a final shot where he lifts up. Yeah, so Ellie leaves the room... And she's like, I'll see you in the morning. And then you see a shot of him lift up his trouser leg and you see the bite. And then the next shot we see is Eddie goes to open up the door in the morning and he's in there as zombie Sam. Whereas in this one they went for, he shows Ellie, so Ellie knows. But I really liked that. And I liked the Ellie going, I can help you. Let's see if, because this is what she thinks. She thinks she's out on this mission because she's going to be able to help. Because she's immune, she's going to be able to help fix this virus and fix this problem. She doesn't know how that's going to work. All she knows is she's going to this place and they're going to make a cure out of her. I think it's perfectly logical for her to believe that they're just going to do that with her blood. And so I think this idea of maybe, just maybe, this will work. And it's not going to harm me to try it. And give him a bit of hope.
Being
and I
so
think,
confident about it, you sleep in the same room.
Yeah, but I think that's Ellie all over. She's cocky as fuck.
That's...
And also,
that's
she's also, cocky. I think... Although scared, I think she's also brave at the same time. And she's like, I promised I will do this and stay with him and I will stick to my word. And she's loyal. And I said, I'll stay with you. I buy that from these versions of the characters. I do also think that they could have just done it the exact same, would have worked in the game, and it would have been also absolutely fine. So it's another one of those arbitrary changes.
Yeah,
that
I think it is the arbitrary. Like, I don't mind the changes, but for that one, I was just like, why? Like, it just felt weird, and like my blood is been, and I don't know. I feel like it's hard to say because obviously we live in a world where we kind of know how on a very vague level, because we're not medically trained, how stuff like that works.
Yeah,
I know you wouldn't necessarily in this world, but also
well, I don't think Ellie would know that and understand that in this world. I don't think her education would have covered that.
No, but neither did ours.
That's true. True.
Our education doesn't cover anything fucking useful.
No. I'd argue we didn't have an education.
Oh, no, I agree. I agree. Build this papier-mâché church. Why?
I mean, it's going to be very helpful for my new hobby, but...
Oh, God, I remember I got in a right fucking tiff with loads of my teachers because they just kept telling me to build... we have
the internet hasn't helped. That's just... All that's done is help for the mass spread of misinformation.
Yeah, like, I wouldn't say I know how that works based on the internet in any way, shape, or form. What we do have is medical dramas. That's probably where most of this information has come from. I've seen every episode of House more than once, so I know about all these weird. It's never lupus. Lupus? Is that a thing?
Yeah, that's basically the same thing. A lot of medical knowledge comes from Grey's Anatomy.
And that series would have never... No, they would House. That's very upsetting. But Casualty would have. ER would have, because George Clooney was in that one when he was about 4. He wasn't 4. There we are. But anyway, yes. But I don't know. It's just a hard thing, because they never give off the impression that she's that naive, but also they wouldn't have necessarily known any of this. It's weird. I just didn't like it. It was a genre I didn't like, but I did like... what the fuck was I about to say?
I don't know.
I liked the little... there's a few moments that a few conversations between Joel and Henry.
Yeah, I like them just having dad chats.
Yeah, it's just like, you may not be her dad, but you were someone's.
Yeah, which is, again, it's a line from the game, but I think it's a really important line, like a really important moment. And
yeah, that one, and just the endure, survive, and it was like, that's a bit redundant. And it was like, all that kind of stuff. And then obviously the actual end, where they did pretty much beat for beat.
Yeah. Well, I think even the end of, just Joel and Henry chatting at the end as well, and just like, hey, look, okay, seems like I can trust you. Seems like we can help each other. We're going here. You can come with us, which is what starts to happen in the game as well. Like, seems like we can trust each other.
Yeah,
We've had each other's back.
There's
a whole bit in the game that doesn't happen in this where they separate.
Yeah, I was getting into that, and I feel like that's the sort of... There's two moments where I feel like you kind of could have done if you didn't waste your time.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Yeah,
at the beginning, and I feel like in the game they're important.
Yeah, I think it's a really important moment in the game.
It's the first time, and they kind of gave Joel another opportunity to do this in the sniper section instead. But that's the first time in the game, really, that I think, where you really see Joel panic and care about what's happening with Ellie.
Yes.
Because they're separated. It's just Henry, and a big door shuts down, which is why last week I did the...
There's the second... They get separated twice.
Do they?
Yeah. So go with that one first, and then I'll tell you.
Oh, the bit I don't like. Do you mean they get separated with Sam and Henry twice, or do you mean they get separated twice?
They get separated twice. They get separated with Sam and Henry once.
They get separated. The other bit is the bit I don't like. Not as in I don't like it, it's the bit I always message you because I panic.
Is that there? It might be there. I don't remember.
No, but it's the other time they get separated, is what I'm saying.
I don't remember that being the bit you're talking about. So basically, I'm confused.
Okay. It's the hotel.
I don't remember that bit being the hotel. That's where I'm lost. I believe...
Lift.
No, I can't think of it being a lift.
He falls down a lift in the game.
No, but that's not the bit I'm thinking of here. The bit in the game is that they go to climb up a truck, and as they're climbing across the truck and over the fence, Fedra come. Ellie's already up there.
So when I said they get separated from Sam and Henry twice, you said they just get separated twice in general.
Did he do? It's the second time they get separated from Sam and Henry.
Yeah, but
I'm so confused.
I asked you to specify, did you mean separated in general or separated from Sam and Henry? And you said in general.
I see. I thought you meant, nah, you see, this is where I got lost. Because there's the other bit in the game where Ellie ends... Yeah, but there's another in the game where Ellie ends up with Henry and Sam ends up with... And then the door.
I was talking about the door and you completely derailed me.
Yeah, but I see, when you said the second thing... You see, I see where we went wrong, but we're there now, and that's all that's important.
Indeed. That meant nothing to anyone who hasn't
No,
played
but it meant
game.
everything to us.
Yes.
Because now we're on the same page.
Yes. The bit I'm talking about is the bit in the sewers with the door shut. I think that's the first time...
that's when the group gets split up.
Yes. But that is... Joel gets locked off with Sam and Henry gets locked off with Ellie, and they try and find their way back. And not only could you have this great character moment of Joel trying to communicate and to keep someone safe. And you could have made it even more like tense in the show because he's deaf and Joel doesn't know how to communicate with him.
Mm-hmm.
Although that would have just been have a torch in the mouth and write down shit. But that is also a bit in the game where they are trapped and it is stalkers everywhere. And it's just, you have no idea where they're going to come from. And you could have made like this really tense, almost like horror aspect, which they've completely ignored in the thing. And then you could have also cut away. We don't in the game see any of what Henry and Ellie are up to. But you could have also shown that as well, because Ellie. It is about Ellie as well.
I mean, I feel that's a good opportunity to show how much Ellie has learned from Joel, and she almost takes lead.
Yeah.
Because in this version, Henry's not a fighter. He even makes a point of, like, I've never killed anyone. The closest I've ever got to violence is pointing an unloaded gun at you.
Had Ellie take charge. Yeah. And obviously they don't do the other bit as well, which I feel like the other bit of separation that you were talking about on top of the truck.
See, I think this is really important.
It is really important because this is where Henry straight up betrays Joel and just leaves him. Leaves him for dead. And then they did the whole thing. They haven't really focused on the Ellie can't swim.
No, they made a brief comment about it in the second episode.
Yeah, and then this is what, like in the game, they jump off a big bridge because they're being chased by a truck. Joel doesn't want to. He thinks it's a stupid idea because Ellie can't swim, but Ellie just goes ahead and does it, so Joel has to follow suit, grabs, twats into a big old rock, and then just wakes up on a beach, and it turns out that Henry had actually saved them.
He came back.
Which
is important because it's then Joel saying, all right, I can trust you more than I thought. Because he says that, oh, you left us. He's like, yeah, because I had him. And even though I had him, I still came back for you. Which is a really important moment. It's showing that there is a trust there, and that's why they've got a friendship.
And this is where Ish begins.
Ish.
No, it's literally right there.
Oh, it is. Yeah, you're right.
So Hannah asked earlier.
I set them up.
Hannah asked earlier, what is Ish? Ish is a person.
Danny and Ish.
Indeed. Ish was a person, I should say.
Now he's a mushroom.
In the game, yes, now he's a... in the game, you find a series of notes as you go through a sewer. So the school section, kind of like the underground school...
Which you sort of find in the game. You find things similar to that.
Yeah, it is straight up in the game. Yeah. Like there isn't sort of, it's straight up there. But that is in a sewer in the game. It's not under a bank. What seemingly it is here. Fine, whatever. The only thing was a bit was Ish specifically moved it miles away from any form of settlement, from any form of town, whereas it's in the fucking town in this one. But fine. And you just basically keep finding these notes as you progress through all of this place about how this place came to be and what happened to everyone there and all this stuff.
You end up then fighting some infected in that section, and the implication is very much the infected you're fighting.
You find Ish. I'm pretty sure you find.
I think you find Ish.
You find the kids.
Yeah, I think the implication from the infected you're fighting is that they're the characters you've just been reading about.
Oh yeah. But I think you then find Ish.
Yeah, you do. Yeah.
But yeah, obviously you can't do all of that in the TV show. But in the TV show, in the episode, there was just a kid's drawing that had Danny and Ish on it.
Which is that drawing is straight out of the game. Isn't it?
It's great stuff. I literally went, "Hey!" when I saw that, and I feel like, if you didn't have that 20 minutes of nonsense at the beginning of the episode, you could have done both of those moments, and you could have done both of those moments to some level of justice as well, which I think would have added significantly more importance and weight to the relationship of... Because I don't feel like Joel or Ellie learned anything.
What, in the...
From Sam and Henry, but they do in the game.
Yes, no, I agree with that.
Joel learns how... better to be a carer in this scenario, and how better to treat Ellie and act with Ellie, and how better to protect her by proxy. And I feel like Ellie from that point clearly sees that has had an impact. But you don't get any of that in the show. I feel like a lot is lost. While I do think that the moment landed still, I don't think they like it was a.
Well, I think the reason that moment landed is because that bit was again pretty much print for print the game.
Yeah, I know,
That's the
but I mean,
exact
like
same
even if you can take something as print for print if you don't have any of it, if you don't have enough decent setup, it's not going to land.
No, for sure. But like
So
all
I feel
of
like
the
they
things,
did a good enough job
Yeah.
for it to land, but I feel like if you just got rid of that guff, you could have made it even better and even more impactful. Like that's a fucked moment.
Oh yeah,
Like it's fucked up.
but I think they did it so well in this with the pretty much the same thing
agree.
of like.
I agree.
You know, he comes out of that room, they're scrambling, and Joel's just straight in like Ellie, like fucking, like he wants to protect Ellie, and Henry's back and forth of like, what the fuck do I do? Because this guy is now my friend. I can't let him kill this girl, but that's Sam. Like, what do I do? And he reacts almost instinctively and then just questions, like, what the fuck have I just... That whole thing and just that rattling of emotions and just the quick action and everything. Yeah, I think it works really, really well. I think Ellie's reaction to it all as well, and just like the horror of watching it all unfold and whatnot is really good, which happens in the game as well. Like she's somewhat traumatized by it.
You fucking would be.
Yeah,
It's fucked. Just that entire scenario, and then just like it feels like. Even playing the game, that feels like the end of like an episode or something.
Yeah.
At that point, just because it is Henry shoots himself, and then it's cut to black.
Yeah.
And then it's clearly been some time because they're just outside Jackson when you get back to it, isn't it?
Well, this is where the game's going to differ again. I know it goes off course because the show is they're taking them actually to Jackson, where the game they don't get to Jackson. They're just outside it, aren't they? At a power plant.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but they're going to.
Yeah,
Jackson.
no. So I wasn't disagreeing with you. I was expanding on that.
So that's probably what's going to happen in the.
Well, I know from the next week thing, it seems to be set in Jackson.
Oh, I see. Okay. I didn't watch it.
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah, it seems to be in Jackson specifically because it's Jackson that looks like part 2.
I see. Unnecessary.
Yes.
Okay. I guess it doesn't really make that much of a difference.
They shouldn't do, but we'll see what they do.
From plot wise.
It just depends on what they do with it because they'll put in some other nonsense that we're not interested in. I'm certain.
Oh yeah, probably. We're probably gonna have like 9 hours of Maria.
Yeah.
So I don't care.
And some new characters.
Yeah, I don't give a shit.
This is
about
Dave. He runs the bakery.
This is the homophobe with the sandwich. That was a nice joke.
It's a good joke. It's a good joke.
That was a nice joke, though.
As I say,
but yeah, I'm hoping
we both try to commentate something at the same time.
I'm hoping they don't go too far off track with next episode because there's going to be a lot of important stuff
And
in
one
next
of
episode.
one of my favorite moments of the game should be in the next episode. I think.
Yeah, one of the at least from probably one of the most important dialogue sections of the game is it should be coming up in the next episode.
I assume we're on the same page. We'll confer in a minute.
We know it's happening. It's been in the trailer.
Yeah. Okay, we're talking about the same thing.
Yeah. But we'll see how they do because I'm interested to see how I feel about it when it happens because I think that scene is also one of the best acted things I've ever seen in my life.
Oh yeah, I fully fucking agree.
And important question: best Deftones songs. Answer after none of them.
I don't think I could name a Deftones song.
Back to School is the only one I can name, but also it's not good. I don't like Deftones at all. Probably because the singer is tone deaf.
I see what you did there.
I genuinely think he's tone deaf.
I believe you, but you did. There was a joke. You did the twisty on the words.
Yeah.
It was good. 10 out of 10. I'm complimenting you.
Yeah. I think they're probably all great musicians, other than the singer. But he's there, so I have to take him into account. Therefore, it's noise, it's drivel. Coming from someone who listens to people shouting at me.
Shouty men, yeah.
Yeah. I'm
enjoying
a
listening to
lot
shouty
of
men.
Welsh people shouting at me.
I'm currently still enjoying Ronnie Radke shouting at me about how he wants to crash his car.
Mm-hmm.
Enjoying that.
He may have just said Maynard's wine gums.
Here's what he said.
It does say Maynard. I didn't even. What was I thinking of? Watching Kerrang. Kerrang. I haven't had Kerrang on in a very long
I didn't
time.
know that TV channel still existed.
Yeah, I put it on.
Does it still just play The Kill by 30 Seconds to Mars and not many other songs?
Weirdly enough, yes. Well, no.
Not surprising. That, Elliot Minor, Medina Lake, just the same songs over and over again.
Yeah, and The Pretender.
Yeah. When you scale up play. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Because it was quite funny.
And then you'd skip to Scuzz.
I don't think Scuzz exists anymore. And Scuzz would just have Psychosocial.
Yeah, that's literally exactly what I was about to say. You'd skip to Scuzz. 30 Seconds to Mars again. Oh, that's Psychosocial. Great.
50 biggest bands of the 90s. I can name 50 bands, let alone call them the biggest. What was I going to say?
Scuzzy? Scuzz. I don't remember it being Scuzzy.
It might have been. Is Scuzzy a real word and therefore it's autocorrected? Entirely possible.
He's corrected now.
Yeah. On New Year's, they just... New Year's Day... On New Year's Day, they just put... My mum and sister just put music channel on the TV. I was like... After like an hour, I was like, I can't do this anymore. I'll be tame, I'll be good, but I'm taking control. I put Kerrang on and it was just the Pretender. It was the Pretender. And I just laughed for like 3 minutes. For like the whole song, I found it very funny. It did turn out they were playing Foo Fighters' greatest hits.
Right.
It was a whole.
Still, there's a lot of Foo Fighters songs it could have been.
I know. And then you'll never guess what it went to after Pretender.
All My Life.
No, it was Everlong.
Oh yeah, that doesn't make sense. Yeah.
And then back to the Pretend. No. Sorry, it's fine.
We derail
all the time. But I've done that so many times lately. Just missed.
Yeah.
But I do it at work. I'm just like leaning down to like doing a setup or something and miss, and I just go, I almost died. almost died setting up someone's phone. What a fucking miserable way.
I tripped over the cat food bowl earlier, and where I caught myself on the wall, I switched off the lights, but didn't really acknowledge that's what I'd done. Because we have Alexa bulbs, I don't touch those light switches ever.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
So I fell, switched off the lights, and my brain went, how did the lights turn off? I couldn't work out that my brain didn't automatically go to, I've switched them. It was just like, what happened to Alexa? Did I instruct Alexa to turn the lights off as I fell? What happened? Anyway, overall, I'm still really enjoying The Last of Us. I do think there are missteps, but mostly it's the same fucking core thing that I love. And my favourite thing I'm enjoying right now is I've started to talk to more people that I know that don't know the game, would never play the game, that are watching it and really enjoying it. And like the particular one I say is Camilla's parents, who we told to watch. When we were there last night, Camilla's mum noped out at the granny zombie. She didn't like the tenderly thing coming out of her hands, and she was like, I can't now watch it after...
hands?
Yeah, I know I said that, I meant mouth, but I was doing this with my hand, and it confused me. She didn't like that, freaked her out, so she's like, I can't watch it. She's like, but I've been essentially reading, doing stuff on my iPad on in the background while his dad's watching it, and he's been really enjoying it, and saying he's really enjoying it, and he was complimenting that he likes that the story is more about the characters and the infected, and Camilla's mum made a comment on Ben and Frank's episode and how heartbreaking and what an entertaining piece of traumatizing TV that was. And I was like, you watched this week. But also for me, what was really nice is Camilla was talking to them about it. And obviously she knows how much I fucking love this IP and this franchise. Me too. But I've spoken to her about this a lot. This was the first time I've heard her talking about it with a sense of passion. She was talking about it to her mum and dad because she liked it and what she was complimenting about it, and it was really nice. It was strange. It was really nice for me sitting there just passively listening to her gush about this game that I fucking have preached to her for years of how much I love, and hearing her seemingly really love it because she's able to now watch it in this medium, although she's now become a incredibly hardcore gamer in the last 2 months. It's insane. She still hasn't played The Last of Us, so like having her sort of watch it and get it and
add it to the list.
Oh, well, she's watched me play it, but she won't play a game like that because she's too much of a wimp.
Fair enough. I suggested my mum watch it. She said, no, I'm watching Happy Valley.
I need to make my dad watch it, but my dad doesn't have Now TV, and he doesn't want to pay for Now TV.
This is fair.
So I think he's going to wait for it to become available elsewhere.
This is fair. That won't happen. I mean, you'll probably be able to buy it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll probably buy it at some point, though, so then I'll just make him watch it because I bought it.
Yeah, I will probably do the same.
Hannah says, I think it's great, and that most of the complaints are just because these two love the game so much and know Inside Out and want it to be verbatim.
I don't want it to be verbatim. I just want, if they want to change it for a good reason and not change it for shit. I feel like... I
mean, I think that you will also admit that the issues that both of us have primarily come from because of how well we know the source material, primarily. But
yeah.
But I don't think that's a fair complaint to say you've changed the things that fundamentally worked and made it what I loved, which is why I'm having qualms.
I think that's absolutely fair.
So do I.
Yeah. But also, a lot of the stuff that they've changed or added, I just don't like. And that's not necessarily directly to do with the game. It is in the fact that I know that the game is meant to be entirely about Joel and Ellie. There isn't a moment of that game, well, the DLC, but there isn't a... I was about to say something that was factually inaccurate. There are a few moments of that game where you're ever away from Joel.
Right.
Got there. I got there. So, like, the fact that there's so much that is away from Joel, I'm just like, why?
Mm-hmm.
Why are we taking this approach? And that's my thing. So,
I also think it's important to stress.
My passion is an insult.
It's important to stress, and we always say this, but it's much easier to talk about the things you don't like than it is the things you do like.
Oh, yes.
So it's much easier to talk about this what I didn't like, and I didn't like this thing, I didn't like this thing, than it is to talk about the things that were good. But I have a lot of praise on this show. I think so much of it's done really well, and I'm really enjoying watching it, and I'm enjoying seeing it unfold again and getting to kind of experience the story for the first time again in some ways. And I think the fundamental part of it is still there. And there are definitely bits I don't like. There are definitely things that I would have not made those decisions. But I am still enjoying the experience of watching it. So.
I think I would prefer it if I could binge it.
Oh, I'd agree with that. I'd much prefer to binge it.
I think because...
I definitely don't like waiting a week.
No, it's also the things I don't like I'm then left...
Brewing on.
To brew on for a week.
Yeah.
And then they just continue. They add more and more and more and more. And I'm just left to brew on them for a week. So... It's interesting, to say the least, to actually have that go through and be like,
That was me scratching the table leg, and it seemed to turn Jack into a cat for a minute. Anyway.
Coming up on the channel tomorrow, there'll be... Oh, actually, is it true? I like the suspense waiting for the episode. Nah. I've always hated Rich says... I like the suspense waiting for the episodes and having something to look forward to on a Monday. No idea. Rich has also said, I'm assuming that's about...
I'm so lost. What's happening? Like, 4 conversations. What's
anyway,
going on? Is what
I like
true?
the suspense of waiting for the episode. No. I've never liked waiting for episodes. I don't think it adds anything to a TV show.
Agreed. What true?
I was saying coming up on the channel tomorrow, there'll be a game stream from Rich. Is that true?
And
Rich
see.
has replied with no idea. Helpful. Saturday, we will be back to talk about Age of Ultron. Avengers 2. There are no strings on me.
Correct.
Indeed.
There's the film we're going to talk about.
Next week, of course.
Well, that's the question I ask myself every day, Rich.
I feel the same.
I ask that about pretty much everything I do.
It would be harder to discuss if it was a binge. I don't care about discussing things anymore, quite frankly.
Rich, if you want to stream something, stream away.
If you don't, if you want to just enjoy your week off, if you want to make it a week off from here as well,
yeah, then
by all means. By all means. But yes, does anyone want to watch? Clearly, if it's the same as with these podcasts, no. Next week we'll be talking about Last of Us episode 6, and of course, whatever's next.
Don't know what's happening there because that's one of the Saturdays I'm not here.
Next week.
Yep.
You said it was the second to last episode.
No, it was 2 Saturdays. No, Last of Us I'm here for. The Saturday show.
Oh, I see.
Sorry, that may have been me not being clear.
Oh, yeah. Fuck, I don't know then. Oh, well, that answers that. We're not doing Ant-Man at all until...
Yeah, that does answer that question, doesn't it? Unless we do that on Thursday too.
Lord.
But then, the age-old question, does anyone actually want to watch it?
I don't think anyone would join. Quite frankly, I can't be fucked.
Probably people won't have watched it by then anyway, to be fair. So
I can't be fucked.
We'll do Ant-Man
We'll
Quantumania
do it
when we get to it in the MCU run. It makes far more sense.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we're going to do it twice. It just means
we would. I imagine we would stop by then. By the time we got to Guardians.
True.
But if we just add the new ones to the end, I mean, it gives people zero.
Here's some information.
About Johann Gottlieb Georgi was a German botanist.
Interesting.
Is that do people want to watch Quantumania on your stream? I meant the stream, but obviously people would need to watch Quantumania to then want to come and watch the stream, which people don't want to do at the best of times. So, so there's that.
I contemplated seeing if I could pick it up and hit the ceiling, but I decided I wouldn't
I
be
will
able
give
to.
you £10 if you flick it up, it hits the ceiling and lands back on the pen. Anyway, on that disappointment, back to the 10. Yeah, shows and ting. Tomorrow, probably a game stream with Rich. Join away. Next Thursday, Last of Us episode 6. And then fuck knows.
Yeah, I go away for a while. I'm sorry.
It's outrageous, babe. How dare you have holidays?
I'm going to go to my happy place.
I haven't had a holiday in like 7 years.
I'm sorry. Sorry.
Yeah, this will be year 7.
Sorry.
Where I haven't had a holiday. And quite frankly, my next holiday may be on my way home at Beachy Head. Until next time! There might not be one. We shall see you then.
Ah, thank you. Goodbye.
I want to die.